This is a continuation of the lecture or module on the causes of disease, according to traditional Chinese medicine. We have here what are called the miscellaneous factors in Chinese medicine. These are the causes of disease that do not fit into the previous categories of internal, external, or emotional. We see here some of them that we will explore later. Stress we mention here, but stress is also a normal part of life. We all experience heightened levels of stress that are often beyond our control. The key to health is being able to maintain that balance and find healthy ways to deal with stress so that it does not become overwhelming. Thankfully, Chinese medicine offers us many tools with which to effectively deal with stress. Constitutional factors, as we discussed during the vital substance lectures, are a cause of disease as well as a disharmony such as essence deficiency. In traditional Chinese medicine theory, an individual's energy system comprises pre-heaven qi and essence, or jing, as well as that produced throughout life, which we call post-heaven qi and essence. We receive this vital essence from our parents, whose health at conception is essential for a healthy baby. Our mother's health during pregnancy is important to our health at birth. If the pre-heaven inheritance is deficient, this will leave the individual more susceptible to the whole range of external and internal factors, which can possibly cause a disharmony. Therefore, if we believe that we have any constitutional weakness, we need to take particular care to ensure that any other potential cause of disharmony in our lives are avoided, if at all possible, or at least minimized. The kind of work we do, or lack of work in the case of somebody who's unemployed, can have a profound influence on our energy system. Too much physical work depletes qi, especially kidney qi. Excessive lifting, for instance, the lungs become deficient. Too much mental activity can damage the spleen. Someone who works outdoors is more liable to be at risk from cold, damp, wind, heat, and so on, as we discussed in the previous lecture. When we look at athletes, for instance, who train to an excessive degree, and on the face of it appear very fit, are often very susceptible to infections and injuries. In the long run, they may become chronically qi deficient because of overstressing the kidneys. In this chaotic time, fatigue is perhaps one of the most common causes of disease. We are a chronically underslept culture. The incredibly healing, restorative power of sleep cannot be overstated. Sleep is the time when our bodies have to heal and repair any damage. It is also a time for the mind to rest, which is an incredibly important aspect of health. Everyone knows that feeling of being run down and how susceptible we are to illness when our bodies and psyches are exhausted. Give yourself time to sleep. It's important for the immune system, stress, and your body's time to rebalance itself, which it really needs. An excessively comfortable life and lack of physical exercise can impair the circulation of qi and blood. It weakens the function of the spleen and stomach, and it saps our body's resistance to disease. Clinical manifestations often include softening of the bones and tendons, poor energy, poor appetite, obesity, and shortness of breath on exertion. They may also induce other diseases. Excessive sexual activity as a cause of disease is one that surprises most people. The problem is more relevant for men than it is for women, and that is because sex for men usually ends in ejaculation. That ejaculation contains the man's fundamental essence, called jing. A substantial and ongoing loss of this essence can have long-term health consequences, which become more severe as the man ages. A loss of essence causes the body to age prematurely. In Chinese medicine, excessive sexual activity in men is damaging the kidney essence and leads to long-term deficiency problems. In women, an excessive number of pregnancies can seriously deplete a woman's blood and essence. For women, this loss of essence, the body's fundamental jing or essence, can occur by having too many children, too close together. Pregnancy is a traumatic time to the body, and supplementing and allowing the body to heal sufficiently afterwards is important, so that the body is not unnecessarily draining the essence. Also, marrying too young and engaging in excessive sexual activity before the body is fully developed is another way that essence can be injured. Don't get me wrong, having a healthy sex life is a very important health factor, but like most things in Chinese medicine, it's all about balance. Sexual frustration is not only a symptom of liver-qi stagnation, but it is also a cause of this common pattern of disharmony. There are various prescriptions as to what is excessive sexual activity, and many Westerners would have different ideas on the subject, but generally Chinese medicine emphasizes moderation, as a natural incline in this activity is part of the aging process. Excessive sexual activity can result in the symptoms of essence deficiency, such as soreness and weakness of the lumbar region and the knee joints, cold knees, cold back, dizziness, tinnitus, impotence, premature ejaculation, lassitude, and irregular menstruation, among many more. Nutrition and eating habits are necessary for the body to perform its vital functions and an important influence of health. One of the major causes of disease is poor diet and bad eating habits. If we are not able to attain enough quality nutrition to keep our bodies healthy and functioning at optimum levels, then illness will occur. According to the theory of traditional Chinese medicine, the spleen and stomach have the responsibility for processing ingested food and extracting energy, which we call gu qi or food qi, which is then passed on to the upper jiao as the central part of the production of qi for the whole body. If the spleen has to work against poor and damaging food, then it will suffer especially from dampness, which we discussed in the previous lecture, and the follow-on effect will deplete qi of the whole body. Again, balance rather than specific do's and don'ts represent the Chinese approach to diet. If an individual follows a healthy, balanced diet, then the spleen will remain healthy and the qi of the body will be sufficient. The overemphasis on sweet and processed foods in modern-day Western diets does not lend itself to such balance. The amount of food and the frequency at which we eat is also important. Many smaller meals are always better and easier on the digestive system than one or two large ones. Eating a varied diet of fruits and vegetables, being careful to wash foods carefully, will help keep our bodies strong and our immune system able to fight off pathogens from inside out. Another thing important in traditional Chinese medicine is being mindful when we eat. We are so often doing more than one thing at a time, and people often use their lunch breaks, dinner break to catch up on work, watch TV, or help the kids do their homework. One way we can relieve some of the burden on our already taxed digestive system is to really focus on when we are eating and just what we are eating, and just eat, of course. The general category of trauma includes accidents and injuries, which obviously can affect qi of the whole body, depending on their type and severity. Emotional trauma can have lifelong consequences for an individual if not dealt with appropriately. Injuries and traumas are unavoidable and often outside of our control. Broken bones, sprains, cuts, pulled muscles, animal bites, accidents happen to all of us. The damage is usually localized, and if treatment is sought right away and given correctly, then there is usually no long-term effects. But if treatment is not received quickly, then things like infections develop. They can lead to more serious problems and eventually be causes of disease. Both physical trauma and mental emotional trauma can cause stagnation of qi and blood. Next, we look at parasites, and parasites are still a problem in many parts of the world where you have poor sanitation and health regulations. We call these parasites, or the effect of these parasites, heat toxins and damp heat. Parasites can have a profound effect on the body, often causing pain in the abdomen, poor appetite, emaciation. Parasites drain the body of essential nutrition, leading to deficiencies and weight loss. Children especially are susceptible to parasites and should be checked if any of the above symptoms are observed. Iatrogenesis comes from the Greek for brought forth by the healer and refers to any effect on a person resulting from any activity of one or more persons acting as healthcare professionals or promoting products or services as beneficial to health. Some iatrogenic effects are clearly defined and easily recognized, such as complications following surgical procedures. For instance, we might have lymphedema as a result of breast cancer surgery. In Chinese medicine, we also see surgery that can cut the meridians causing stagnation of qi and blood. Medicines have an energetic effect as well as a curative effect, and there are side effects to medicines as well. In Chinese medicine, we see, for instance, antibiotics can cause cold, resulting in blue tinges on the tongue and slow pulses, as well as cold symptoms. Less obvious ones, such as complex drug interactions, may require significant investigation to identify. While some have advocated using iatrogenesis to refer to all events caused by the healthcare delivery team, whether positive or negative, consensus limits use of iatrogenesis to adverse or most broadly to unintended outcomes. It's here that I must mention that practitioners of traditional Chinese medicine must never advise on medication taken by their patients unless they're qualified to do so. Next, we'll move on to poisons and toxins. And we have poisons, and these are fairly self-explanatory. They usually affect health. Some of these include food additives, infected food, recreational drugs, and alcohol, which scatter the qi of the body. We have environmental health pollutions and electromagnetic pollution as well. It's important to finish this lecture on prevention. And again, we go back to what Qi Bo said to the Yellow Emperor in the Huangdi Neijing. The sage practices the Tao in his daily life while the uneducated turn their backs to it. To live in harmony with yin and yang means life. To act contrary means death. Chinese medicine was developed over thousands of years, and as a result has a robust understanding of the human body and the causes of disease, which is why there is and always has been a huge emphasis on prevention. The idea being that if we can avoid the causes of disease and keep the body strong and healthy and in balance, then disease will never have a chance to develop. That's the end of our lecture. I hope you found it useful. I hope you found it enjoyable. And until we meet in class again, Slán.